everyone, and welcome back to the Application Insider channel. I'm so excited for today's interview. Every single time I have put out a question, just looking for suggestions of which program people would want to hear from on the podcast, this program has come up. Vanderbilt University Medical Center Dietetic Internship. And today I am talking to Dianne Killebrew, the director, and Dana DeVore, who is a current intern in the program. So you get to hear from both of their perspectives, and they've got some really great things to share about what Vanderbilt has to offer to students, ways to make your application stand out, and some advice for steps you can take today to get started on your application and just really excel in your career moving forward. So let's get on to the interview. All right, very excited to have here today Dianne Killebrew and Dana DeVore from Vanderbilt University Medical Center Dietetic Internship. Is that the full name? Okay, because I had for a second just the abbreviation in mind and I didn't want to make up letters. All right, so excited to have them both here. If you each wouldn't mind, Dianne, if you go first, and then Dana, share an introduction of yourselves, what has brought you to dietetics and what your background is that brought you here today.
Well, thank you, Nicole. And we are coming to you live from Music City, USA in Nashville, Tennessee. So we thank you for the chance to be part of your podcast today. So as Nicole mentioned, my name is Dianne Killebrew, and I'm a native, locally grown Nashvilleian, and am excited to be part of the dietetic internship here at Vanderbilt. So I did my undergraduate training at Lipscomb University, and then also did my internship years ago here at Vanderbilt, and got my master's here as well. And really enjoy and love working with the future of our profession. I think that's what keeps me coming back every day, are all the great folks and interns that we get to work with. And more importantly, it's so much fun to see where they go in life and where their career adventures take them. And we get to ride along on the sidelines and watch them grow and flourish. So it's a lot of fun, and I've done this for a while. I just recently moved a year or so ago to the director position, but was an educational coordinator here at Vanderbilt for a number of years. And, people always ask me, do you get bored with the job? And I say no, because every year I get new people and new students with new ideas and new hopes and dreams. So it really keeps it exciting. And, I've got Dana DeVore with me here, who's in our current class of difference makers here at Vanderbilt. And I know she's going to share a little snippet of who she is and what she's about.
Yes, thank you. So I'm actually a career changer. And so I was in account management, customer support for about 15 years. Then I went back to school for nutrition and completed my DPD through the University of Alabama as a distance student. And I've always loved science, and I enjoyed helping customers while I was in that customer support role. And then I always loved food and realized that I could find a career that put them all together. And so that's kind of my little blurb of how I got to here. And been at the internship since August now.
Awesome. So glad that we can get both perspectives from the director and the intern. I think that will be really unique. Dianne, if you could just share some of the logistics about your program. You mentioned you're in Nashville, what type of program it is, and the program emphasis for anyone who might be just learning about Vanderbilt for the first time.
Well, yes, absolutely. So we are located at Vanderbilt Medical Center, and we've got quite a wide campus here. We've got, on this campus, we have access to a university, to a children's hospital, to an adult hospital, a behavioral health hospital, a rehab facility, and then probably within 20 or 30 minutes of our medical center campus, Vanderbilt purchased a shopping mall that they've converted into an outpatient clinic mecca.
Wow.
So that's an extension of our learning environment as well. And then we've got a very wide supervised practice network of probably about 60 preceptors and 27 different rotation sites, which includes, for example, a food bank that's the size of a football stadium, is one of the locations that we go to. So our program, as Nicole mentioned, is a dietetic internship. It's 10 months in length. And our concentration areas are disease management, health promotion. So we really cover the full spectrum, because at the end of the day, nobody wants to live in a hospital or a hospital gown. Yes, and so we really, we spend an awful lot of time at the patient's bedside, but we go full circle of really helping interns become a practitioner that can work with individuals on those lifestyle changes, and really reshaping their life once they get out of the hospital, and also the prevention angle.
Okay, awesome. So a lot of opportunities there to really address these issues. That's great. Okay, so this question I would love to hear from both of you. What do you think sets Vanderbilt apart, as from among other programs, and what do you think makes it a good choice for students? So Dianne, if you wanted to let us know, and then Dana, share your perspective.
Absolutely. Well, year after year, what interns say on their final kind of satisfaction survey back is variety. Mm-hmm. Just the variety of experiences, because I'm sure people experience rotations that they never want to do again in their life, and it's just 4 days in length. And I'm sure they experience rotations that they feel like, this is my Cloud 9 destination. This is why I'm going to be a dietitian. So really, I would say variety. And then we have really an expertise in critical care nutrition. We have both adult and pediatrics. We have health and wellness coaching that we do as well. So we give people an awful lot of skill sets that when they leave here, they're ready to hit the marketplace and apply for any position that's available.
Have you been able to see that confidence in your grads, that they feel very equipped to really start at any level, or not any level, but maybe in any area of dietetics? They've got that entry level not expertise, but they're just ready. Do they feel prepared? Do you see that in their confidence?
I think so. We spend an awful lot of time, interns do a core values assessment 3 different times during the internship that really focuses on who they are, what they're about, what kind of environment really motivates them, what kind of, work setting motivates them, work environment, work content. And so I think they leave at the end of 10 months having a really good idea of who they are and what kind of a job fits them best. But honestly, the reality is that oftentimes your first job is what's available, because everybody wants to get a start. And once you get that first job and hook on to a really good mentor that helps you climb the ladder, so to speak, I think you'll be successful in any setting that you land in.
Yeah, I think that's great. Some of those aspects that it sounds like you're covering with interns, I didn't realize until I'd already maybe gone through a few positions. So that's awesome that you're preparing them with that as they exit the internship. Mm-hmm. All right, Dana, what do you see as that Vanderbilt has that sets them apart?
I'm just going to reiterate what Dianne said, is the variety of rotations. That's a big key for me, being able to go and see so many different places. I mean, I've only been in the internship for barely over 2 months, and I've already seen so many different things, and I have so much further to go. So it's like a little bit of a double-edged sword, because like sometimes you want to spend a little extra time there and get to know that population a little bit more, but that the whole big picture is that you're going to see a ton of different things and experience so much areas of nutrition, because there are so many areas of nutrition. So that's a big thing for me.
Awesome.
So Nicole, I was going to say, I use an analogy a lot that we are very similar to Baskin-Robbins ice cream. Baskin-Robbins has 32 flavors of ice cream. and we almost have that many flavors of rotations. So, people really get to experience an awful lot of different practice settings because at the end of the day, there's not enough physicians at the patient's bedside for all the dietitians in the nation.
Right.
So we really have to be innovative and creative at other opportunities to pave the way for.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. 32 flavors of rotations. That's so good. All right, well, let's move to talk about applications. Dianne, which matches does Vanderbilt participate in? And then if you could share some numbers about how many applications you get, how many spots do you fill, some of those things for people that might be trying to figure that out.
You know what? It is a confusing process.
Yes.
And we've really, I think, the powers that be and folks are really trying to streamline things for students to make it much easier. Mm-hmm. But we participate only in one match, and that's the die-cast match.
Okay.
We accept, pardon?
In spring or in fall, or both?
We do the spring only.
Okay.
And then we accept 16 students every year. Our class has filled every year that I've been here. And the number of applications really varies. I think it goes up and down all over the nation. So really my answer is that it just varies from year to year.
Yeah, I think every program has that. When you are looking at applications, is there anything that you can kind of give as recommendations of what sets an application apart for good or what sets it apart for not as good?
Absolutely. Well, I think what sets it apart in a very positive way is attention to detail. Mm-hmm. Really following the instructions on the application form is very important. Your personal statement is super important. And I usually suggest to folks to begin that early.
Yes.
And just kind of let all of that brew and marinate in your head a little bit. Go back and reread it several times. Have somebody else read it that has no connection to this internship and make sure it makes sense to them. Mm-hmm. And then, I think it's really important that when you're selecting your references, we like to see at least your DPD director, one other professor, and then either a work or volunteer recommendation. And I like to see folks that are recommending that you've known for 6 months or more. Mm-hmm. So I encourage people to really take time to get to know their references, have a cup of coffee with them, tell them what your hopes and dreams are so they can really write a reference that reflects you as a person and can really speak to who you are. So I think that's important as well. And then I always encourage people to, in their letter of their personal statement, that they've spent time thinking about what they're going to bring to Vanderbilt. And really researching our Vanderbilt community, not just repeating what they've read on our website, right, but really thinking about, as a difference maker, what are they going to bring here? Mm-hmm. So I think those are some important qualities to think about.
Dana, when you were working on your application, obviously there's so many parts to the application and you would never ignore one part, but are there maybe some paying attention to detail? Are there details you maybe really had in mind as you applied specifically to Vanderbilt?
Because I knew that the personal statement was pretty important and they don't do any interviews or things like that. I spent a considerable amount of time for that. So I wrote it out really early on and had, 5, 6, 7 people read it and edit it. Plus my writing center for grammatical errors. So I spent probably a good majority of the time on that. And then, I don't know how many times myself and my husband looked over the full application to make sure there wasn't any typos or missed spots there too. So those were the 2 big things.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I know reading and rereading both the personal statement and the application all together. I'm glad you had some backup, some extra eyes to help you. All right, Dianne, what are some common mistakes or errors you have seen on applications that really students could easily avoid?
Wow. I can maybe just reframe that slightly,
Sure.
if it's okay with you, and say what makes something stand out.
Okay.
I think when you're definitely taking time to correctly fill out your grade point information, your courses that you've taken, that's very important to complete that correctly. And again, I just would reiterate that attention to detail and taking time to proof things for sure. Mm-hmm. I will say that we have a selection committee, which is a little bit unusual of how we select applicants. So preceptors are part of this. Our application committee is maybe 15 to 20 people. They're from all different areas of practice. So they all review the application. We review it in silence. We don't compare like it's, we don't compare our responses. But so every person on the committee has a certain number of points to work with. We all have 100 points. And so every committee member rates things differently. They might give a certain point value to GPA, somebody else to your personal experience, somebody else to your work experience, and so on. It all totals out to be 100 points for each applicant. And then at the end, we put all of those numbers into an Excel spreadsheet, and that becomes our ranking that we submit to D&D Digital. And so it's kind of it's a real fun process for us because that means that our applicant base and people that are accepted are very diverse from all over the U.S., sometimes internationally, and it just makes for a really rich environment of learning and a great community of people.
Yeah, I can see the added perspectives of everyone. Someone's going to think, how is this person going to, maybe perform in this particular rotation? And someone else is going to think, how are they going to perform in this other type of rotation? How are they going to be as a student? How are they going to be with, assignments and things they're given? That added perspective from an entire committee can be really helpful. I can speak from experience. It's really helpful to know you've got other people, considering things from their perspective. So that's great to see how that goes. Okay, Dana, I'm going to ask you this question since you have gone through the application as an applicant. What is something you either wish you did differently or you were planning on doing one way and you ended up doing differently than you had originally thought?
Ooh, I'm not sure if there was anything because I did take a year off between graduating and applying. And so I was only working at that time while applying. So I signed up for DICUS like the moment that it reopened for spring and started looking through it. I did have to hold myself back to not get super ahead of myself. Oh my goodness, I could fill this whole thing out now. And I was no, I need to take some time, go through each little step. I think I would have, I still got it in plenty of time, but I think I would have submitted my DPD verification statement just a hair earlier than I did. That would have just been a little less waiting around for that. But I mean, I did have a ton of time on there, so I didn't have anything that I think I would have changed really.
Mm-hmm. It's nice if you do have maybe some extra time because coming home from work is different than coming home from school and having homework and stuff that is maybe all infringing on the time you could otherwise set aside for the application. So I'm glad that worked out for you. Dianne, when interns do match to your program and they are there and they are doing their rotations, what is something you have seen, a characteristic, a practice, an attitude that will help them be successful?
Oh, wow. There's quite a good list of things. I think one is that they're an individual is very organized. They practice good time management, really good communication skills. Just that ability to have a one-on-one conversation as well as converse with groups is really important. Our setting is very fast-paced, and so just that ability to be in a fast-paced environment and process quickly, organize quickly, is a really important skill. And then we call it flexing on the fly, just that ability to adapt to change. One of the things that I think our program does is that I like to say we ride the wave of the marketplace. So if you can envision someone surfing on a surfboard and a big wave is coming along. So, I mean, that really helps us stay current with what's happening in the marketplace, current in our education strategy. So we do ride that wave. Sometimes it can create unexpected twists and turns. But I think our interns overall are excellent at, as I said, flexing on the fly. Excellent. And Dana's shaking her head. She knows that.
I know, she's been nodding the whole time. Like, yep.
She wasn't about to say flex on the fly, and I was like, oh no, we have to add that one in there because that is definitely big.
Yeah. Are there characteristics, Dana, that you have, like, were maybe very natural to you going in that you're like, I'm glad I've had this because it's helped me, versus any that you've seen like, this is something I need to brush up on because it's coming up as you're going through rotations?
So literally one of the big number, besides the diverse amount of rotations that we have here, when Dianne at the open house said we are really big on flexing on the fly, I was like, sold. I need to be in this program because I worked in startup companies for the previous career, and like that's all that they do is they pivot, they change. You're like kind of focusing on one thing at one moment and then you switch over to another. So I was like, that is an environment that I'm super comfortable in and I thrive in. So that was a good one. And then time management also just have always been, that's kind of been a easy one for me to do. So, and they are extraordinarily important and I have used them on a daily basis here.
Yeah. Awesome. I also have to say, so as you've been talking about, flexing on the fly, just being really current in what you do, that's got to be something that has helped Vanderbilt's longevity, because you guys, this program has been around. When did it start?
1929.
Okay, so 91 years ago. You don't last that long if you're not adjusting and adapting, just as you have said. So that really speaks, like you saying that is one of the, core values of your program. The longevity definitely echoes that. And that's awesome.
Nicole, I'll say more thing that I think is really important. In the midst of this flexing, we also have to remember that work-life balance piece, which is super important. And, interns always ask, or applicants always ask, how much work outside of a rotation is expected. And, generally on average, interns work maybe 1 to 2 hours a night on homeworky type things. And then we usually say, take Friday night off, take Saturday off. And then, midday Sunday, crank open your laptop and get ready for the week ahead. In general, now sometimes your workload is heavier on weekends than expected, but overall, I think that's part of the experience is bonding and being with the 15 other people in the program and really getting to experience Nashville and Music City and as much as you can in the midst of COVID.
Right.
But, that is part of it. And that's another skill that you're learning is how do you take care of yourself in the midst of becoming an entry-level practitioner. So I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, I love that because that is, for some students, this might be the first time they've worked, full time or just been focusing on not school and work and other things. And so helping them put that into perspective, I think is so great and is certainly one way you're helping them prepare for their career. So that's awesome.
Well, this is more like a job than it is like school.
For sure.
Folks that have come have been sitting in a classroom for 4 years, and they didn't come here to do that.
Right.
So it is more like a job setting for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Dana, if I remember, you are not originally from Nashville, right? Are you from, did you apply from out of
so
state?
I did my distance bachelor's degree while I was living in Seattle.
Okay.
But I actually moved to Nashville prior to even applying here. So
Okay.
I was, so I tried to say that I'm a Nashvilleian now, but I don't know.
You enjoyed the city? I've only been to Nashville once, and I really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, we bought a house. We're here. We're local now, but
awesome.
It's a really fun city, and unfortunately, I haven't gotten to see everything that I want to at this point. But the bits that we've gotten to, it's been really enjoyable, and it's a fun place.
Awesome. How so the interns on this program with a smaller group, it's really nice that they can get, you know, either to spend time with each other, just get closer knit, even going through the internship at the same time. Have you been able to make connections with your classmates or your intern mates?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a little bit harder because we have limited options of what we can do outside of the school stuff here. But, you know, we have like group texts, and we have gotten together here and there in smaller groups or things like that. So yeah, for sure, gotten to know quite a few of them, and we can give each other a heads up on the next rotation that's going on, or just kind of vent in general or share silly things when we see like crazy nutrition things on the internet. We share it all and laugh at it, and you know, whatever else, all the bonding things.
Awesome. I love that camaraderie, because you're going to walk away from the internship with a network of colleagues and not just like, oh yeah, that person I went to school with. So that's awesome. All right. As we are getting close to wrapping things up, I like to share with every episode, just sharing with my listeners some sort of action item they can take today for either their application, their education, or their career. So if each of you have one, that would be awesome. If you could share. Dianne, why don't you go first?
You know, I think it would be just to open your mind to the possibilities of where you can go with this career. The good news is that everybody eats, and somebody is always going to be sick. And so, you know, if you really are innovative and you have a good spirit of creativity, you can really make a pathway for yourself that's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be my word of advice: to be innovative and creative and have an open mind about your career.
Awesome. Thank you. Dana, do you have advice to share?
Yeah, I think for at least from the applying intern or applying student perspective is just taking advantage of whatever opportunities you have already had or that might present itself. I know I've spoken to some people and they're like, well, I don't have any direct nutrition work experience or volunteer experience. And every single time I tell them, well, you can, like, there's still so many aspects of that you can relate to being a good dietitian. You can say that you worked with a diverse team of people where you were working on a problem or something like that, or you manage somebody, or just good communication skills or whatever else. And there's so many takeaways that you can find that don't have to do with like a direct nutrition related job or experience or volunteer thing. And just kind of look for all those pieces, because that's not like, dietitians don't only, like, nutrition isn't their number one thing, or it is their number one thing, but it isn't their only thing. They have to have like a pretty well-rounded experience and everything.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. All right. Well, where can people find more information about Vanderbilt? Are you guys on social media and your website and things like that? And I'll include all of this in show notes so they don't have to like type it in directly. But do you want to just share where people can find out more?
Absolutely. You can certainly Google the Dietetic Internship Program at Vanderbilt, and our webpage will pop up from there. And we do have a Facebook page for the internship where we post pictures and happenings and goings on of interns and what's happening with their program.
Yeah, awesome. And also for the YouTube video, Dianne shared a short PowerPoint of some of the just goings on in the Vanderbilt Dietetic Internship. So I will be showing those slides at the end of the video. So that's awesome that they can learn more about the program that way. Okay, great. Well, thank you both so much for coming on and sharing a little bit more about Vanderbilt. I love that we got the multiple perspectives. I think that's going to be so great for listeners. And I appreciate you both so much being here today.
Hey, thank you, Nicole. It was our pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks again to both Dianne and Dana. I really loved chatting with both of them, and I really love that they could round out their perspective from both sides of the internship, and I hope that you enjoyed that as well. Hopefully you have been able to get some really great advice and tips on how you can make your application stand out. Thanks for watching.